and aggravate your stomach. I really like the one with Martin. I thought was really good. The
I,
break
I did too. Yeah, yeah.
that was really fun.
He's a really good host.
Yeah, yeah. I, I don't know. I guess I said the word Hunter to you, and so now I have advertisements for Hunter Mountain on my ESPN page. Whatever.
All right, I'm gonna hit record.
Awesome.
We are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York girl. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, part of Dash Radio. This is episode 556. I am pumped about it. How you doing, Mark?
I am pumped too, if I could pretend I am. Do you want to start with the good?
Yeah, let's start with the good.
RJ Barrett is really good. Since last show, he had his big 46-point performance. That was pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, it was. He is. The Knicks got a draft pick correct, although it was like a 3-player draft and they had the 3rd pick. So if they messed that up,
Well,
it would have been something.
in fairness, if they took Darius Garland, they would be in pretty good shape also.
They would. It's just basically 100% of every mock draft said it was Zion, John, RJ.
No, I know.
I'm just glad it worked out. I mean, it could easily have been the Knicks drafted Zion and he misses a season and a half. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So what do you think of RJ's season now? So he had a brief good start, then he was pretty terrible for about 2 months, but since January he's been pretty darn good. He explained his 2-month stretch of just terribleness between COVID and having some kind of stomach issue, and it seems like that might be a legit complaint because he's been playing pretty darn good since January.
yeah, I mean, he's averaging like 29 points a game in February. If he keeps this up the rest of the season, pretty excited about it and give him a max extension.
Yeah, do they have to do that this summer, or can you wait a following? Like, what's the deal with that?
I think they can just play the last year of his rookie contract, but if they do that, then I think he's a free agent.
I don't think he's a free. Is he a free agent or is he a
restricted free agent with bird rights.
So, right, so they can match anything.
Yes. So they're basically like, do we want to lock him up for an extra year, or do we want to just wait and sign him to hopefully a long-term contract and not let yet another draft pick walk?
I 100% want the Knicks to sign RJ. I'd give him a big contract, absolutely. I guess we can get this in the offseason. I don't know if there's any salary cap reasons not to sign him this summer, like giving yourself more flexibility, because once you go all in on him, you may have very little flexibility in the cap going forward.
Maybe, but they have a lot of short-term contracts. I mean, it's not like Walker. I mean, Walker's coming off. Burks is coming off. The year
not
after.
This summer. You mean the year after? Yeah.
Yeah, the year after that's Fournier. It's not. They don't have a log jam for their cap like they did for like the first 12 years we did the podcast.
I mean, they don't have any salary cap space this summer, and we need a point guard. But we can get to that later. Yeah, he's been pretty awesome. He is averaging about 20 in February. It's 28 points a game. In January, it's 21 points a game. He's coming into his own. And his shooting percentage, his 3-point shooting percentage in January is 40%. In February, it's 39%. The only thing that he's still not doing well is his free throws. His free throws are terrible.
Yeah, and he's aware of it. I mean, he mentioned it in interviews, and he said it's annoying, and he's working on it. They said he hit 200 before a game.
Philly game, yeah.
But like, it seems like it might be mental because they said he hit 200 and like a very high percentage, and then he went and shot 6 for 10 during the game. So maybe he's just got to get out of his head.
I forget who was saying how they used to work on their free throws by like doing sprints and then doing the free throws just to try to like not to be like to try to be in more game conditions by like sprinting and then doing the shots.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what I'm maybe he does stuff like that. Who knows? But if he could up his shooting percentage, free throw percentage to like 75, 76%, it would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Right now he's at like 68%, which is it's just brutal. He gets to the line a lot, which is pretty awesome, but got to hit their shots. But
against
anyway,
Miami, he took 22 free throws,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He is doing such a great job of getting to the rim. I am so impressed by that. Sometimes he'll pull up for like a short two, which I like. Also, he's been very crafty around the basket, which is just great.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what it would be like if he had a point guard to help him make things easier?
I think life would be easier for a lot of Knicks with a point guard.
So let me ask you, Jay. I have a question for you. Who is the last point guard the Knicks have drafted? You're not going to get this, so I'm going to tell you who it is. Because I know who you're going to say. Who's the last point guard? So, well, actually, there's one this year. So this past year was
McBride.
McBride. Okay.
Yeah. Before that, wasn't it like Frank Jackson or something like that?
No, Knicks did not draft Frank Jackson. They do not have him. Before him, come on, think about it. Who is the point guard before him that you're thinking of? There's one guy you're not thinking of, but who's the obvious name?
Andy Rottens?
No, come on. Within the last point guard the Knicks drafted. He's from France.
Oh, yeah. I don't even count him as a point guard. I don't think he's a point guard.
You don't think Frank's a point guard?
No, I think he's a shooting guard.
Well, then you've been watching him play, obviously. But yeah, in theory, they drafted him to be a point guard. Like he was considered a point guard in the draft, right?
Yeah,
and the Knicks tried.
Yeah.
And the Knicks tried him out.
He couldn't run an offense, so yeah.
But okay, so anyway, so this past year, 2021, the Knicks drafted McBride. The last time, and before that, the last time they drafted the point guard before that was 4 years earlier. Ntilikina. They also drafted this guy out of Serbia with the 58th pick in the draft. Some Serbian guy who's never been in the NBA, but he was the 58th pick in the draft. You probably don't remember this guy. So before Ntilikina, who was the last point guard they drafted?
Andy Rottens.
Andy Rottens is the shooting guard.
He never played. I didn't know what the hell position he played.
He was wasted draft pick. I think the one was pretty good was drafted after him. But you could argue Shumpert was a point guard. I mean, it's a stretch, but some people actually believe he was a point guard.
Okay. I'll accept that. He's more of a point guard than I think Frank was.
2011, so 6 years earlier. Before him, who was before him? This is another in-betweener who really wasn't a point guard. Do you want to guess or do you want me to tell you?
So everybody that you're listing is like an in-betweener, not a real point guard.
I'm making a bigger point here, but do you want to get? Do you want to try to guess it, or you want to tell you?
So it's before 2011.
Before 2011.
Wow.
I'm gonna go back to 1990. By the way.
So before 2011,
you're not gonna get it.
I'm not gonna get it. Okay.
Marty Collins.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even remember he was a point guard. I think he was more of a shooting guard. This is 2006. Yep. So like far,
every 5 years they draft an in-between sort of point guard, not really.
So far, the Knicks, who desperately need a point guard, in the last year only drafted one point guard in the second round. 4 years earlier, they drafted a point guard in the first round, Frank, and some guy from overseas. Before 2017, there was 2011. Shumpert, who's really not a point guard. Before that, Marty Collins. Really not a point guard. That's 2006. Before that, who's the point guard before that? Well, then I'm not going to tell you. 2002, some guy, Milos Vujic, some other guy from Serbia. Knicks like Serbian point guards. That's 2002 in the second round. Never came to the NBA. Before that.
So now we're in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Hubert Davis?
No, I'll give you a hint. This guy was someone the Knicks extended.
Charlie Ward.
Yes. Charlie Ward, who actually was a pure point guard. No question, right?
Right.
So
not a world beater, but, a decent NBA player.
So if you exclude the two guys who played overseas and never made it to the NBA,
I'll allow that. Yep.
And you exclude the in-betweeners
Mm-hmm.
who really like Shumpert and Marty Collins, the Knicks drafted Charlie Ward, and then the next point guard they drafted was Frank Ntilikina 13 years later. No, sorry. I got that wrong. 23 years later. Holy. And before Charlie Ward, do you want to try before that? This is another actual real point guard.
Was that Hubert Davis?
He was. They consider him a shooting guard. Was he? I thought he was more of a shooting guard anyway. Was he a point guard?
All the Knicks point guards are shooting guards. Mark Jackson?
No. Mark Jackson in the 80s. Greg Anthony in 91.
Okay.
Anthony was a real point guard. I mean, he wasn't good on offense, but he was a real point guard.
Yeah.
But anyway, 91 they drafted Greg Anthony. 94 they drafted Charlie Ward. Totally fine. Hey, do we need another point guard? We'll wait till 2017 to draft another real point guard. And he wasn't even a real point guard.
And when he's not that good, we Andrew says he doesn't like this game.
Isn't this insane? I was like, the Knicks always need a point guard. The number one place people get point guards is the draft. What in God's name have the Knicks been doing? Like, no other position have they been this insane with. Every other position gets drafted every few years because that's what you do.
I guess you're counting Nate Robinson as a shooting guard.
Yeah. Why did I have Nate Robinson on here? Actually, that's actually a good point. Actually, I don't know why I didn't
fit your narrative.
I guess not. I don't know. Maybe did someone else draft Nate and they traded for him on draft night or something? I don't know why he's not on here. Because that's actually because he was a point guard, right? Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
He's kind of. I don't know why he's not on here. Okay, well that was actually a good point. I mean, maybe all the point guards have been removed from this Wikipedia entry. I don't know. It's just a really amazing amount, and because I was thinking about that also. Even the RJ, and I like RJ, I'm very happy. And not that I'm saying that next year drafted Darius Garland, but for a team that's so goddamn hungry for a point guard, and there was a little bit of talk of Garland at that time. Like, why did the Knicks constantly not draft a point guard?
It's amazing, and then saying that they drafted Knox because they already had drafted Frank, you realize that most teams have 2 point guards, sometimes 3. So It still didn't make sense.
And also, again, the last point guard you drafted was 20. I mean, I guess with the exclusive of Nate Robinson was 23 years ago. You're not drafting point guards ever. It's a major need. Just draft 2. See how it goes.
Draft 3. If they all work out, you could do what Sacramento did and then flip it for another piece you need.
We couldn't draft the point guard. We already had one. Yet we drafted a power forward with a number 8 pick when we already had one who was going to play major minutes.
Do you know what the funny thing is? So Phoenix, they had Chris Paul went down, and then Cameron Payne went down, and Holiday has been playing really bad.
Yeah.
So they decided to just play Booker at point instead of Elfrid Payton. And this was the Knicks starting point guard last season.
And yet he is better than Alec Burks.
Honestly, I would take Payton over Alec Burks playing point guard.
Yeah. This is nothing against Alec Burks. All the hate against Alec. I think Alec Burks, if you put him back in his correct role, would play well.
He was absolutely fine at shooting guard last year. Yeah. I have no problem with Alec Burks. I have a problem with how Alec Burks is being used.
And if you think Emmanuel Quickley is a point guard, you're not watching the game. Emmanuel Quickley has been suffering this year because he's trying to play point guard. He is not a point guard.
The Knicks official account posted a picture of him, and all the comments were like, start him at point guard. I'm like, do you want your point guard pulling up and taking 30-foot shots 4 seconds into the clock while hitting 30% of them?
He looked kind of decent yesterday during the afternoon against 76ers. He has
a decent game once every 2 weeks.
But why did he look decent? Because he spent the whole game concentrating solely on his own offense. He didn't set anyone else up. He was just trying to actually play, his game. Like his game is like a microwave score. Someone else set him up, like set him up, like hit him when he's like sitting on the 3-point line. He's not a point guard, and I don't understand the. Like yesterday, Emmanuel Quickly and Alec Burks combined for 60 minutes and had 1 assist, and these are your point guards.
Yeah, it's.
I saw someone justify that. I saw someone line. They were like, "Well, Quickly would have had like 5 or 6 assists if guys could hit shots." Yeah, every point guard should be able to they'll have 15 ever going to hit every shot. Guys are going to miss shots. You should have 5 or 6 work out.
Yeah, every single point guard would have a lot more if everybody shot 100%.
Yeah, it's just like you have to have 5 or 6 assists, basically. It doesn't matter if guys are missing shots. Set guys up, have them hit shots. The Knicks still scored over Knicks scored over 100 points in the game. Someone was hitting shots. Why could you set those guys up?
Yeah.
The Knicks, it's just the more you want to kill. So Julius Randle didn't play that well, and Julius Randle's been like up and down and crappy season. But don't you think Julius Randle would look a lot better if some guy would make his job easier?
Absolutely. He's trying to play like point forward, and that's not what he's good at. That's not his strength. So the interesting thing, we didn't even talk about it. Since last show, the Knicks shut Kemba down for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And then they announced that Rose had a complication and now needs surgery. So he's pretty much done for the season.
They said he's cleaning up the ankle. There's a sliver of a chance he'll be back at the end, towards the end of the season, but it's kind of pointless. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway, so he's basically out for the season. Yeah.
So that's 2 out of the Knicks' 3 point guards. And in the 2 games since that happened, the Knicks' only point guard, I get he's a rookie. He played 2 minutes in 2 games.
Yeah. The thing is, people are making the argument of like, Deuce McBride's got to earn his minutes. Like maybe the coach knows what he's doing with development, and like, hey, he's not ready. I don't know. The games are meaningless. Just give him some run. Like you wouldn't like sit him in practice and go, well, he's got to earn his minutes in practice. This is basically practice.
I mean, when you've lost 12 out of your last 15 games, does it even matter if you put in somebody who's not as good? What would the difference have been? They would have lost 13 out of 15.
But the coach is going to be like, Deuce played tonight and he really wasn't ready. Normally this would have counted for 1 loss, but the NBA gave us 3 losses tonight. Deuce, you screwed us up.
Right. It's not like the Knicks are flirting with 500 and can maybe sneak into the play-in game or something. They're 11 games under 500. They're blowing, even when they have a lead, they blow it. Most of these games, it looks like they're not even in it.
The Knicks would have to be one of the hottest teams in the NBA going forward to just get to 500. And they've just no chance. The schedule is really tough. The Knicks are playing crappy basketball.
So against the 76ers, it was 107-106 Philly in the 4th quarter. And then Burks went back in, and they lost 125-109. Do you think McBride would have been worse at point guard?
I mean, it just doesn't. Burks is not setting anyone up. He's not doing anything a point guard does. And also, they don't rely on him to there's so many turnovers at the end of games because no one can take control of the ball. And he's not like Burks is taking control of the ball, making sure there's no turnovers. Here's a quote actually I thought was interesting. A quote from Evan Fournier. Let me find this for you. I had it queued up and now I can't see the file. Oh, here it is. He says, down the stretch, we have no confidence. So we are second guessing at times. I feel like sometimes we're looking at each other, second guessing what play we're going to run, who we're going to go to. And then the first comment after that is, can I have, what is a point guard for a 500, Alex?
I'm also a little concerned about Mitch again. Like he had that streak where he looked pretty good. His last 3 games, 23 minutes, 2 points, 29 minutes, 0 points, 17 minutes fouled out, 6 points.
So he really needs someone else to set him up and get him the ball in the right place. It would helpful by a point guard would have very much help him. But I'm also at the point where like he's never healthy for a full season. Last year, when we played our best basketball in years, he wasn't even healthy. There's no development on offense. I'm kind of for how much he's going to cost. I'm fine just giving Jericho Sims his minutes, drafting some guy in the second round, try to find like a low cost answer in free agency. I don't think we need to bring Mitch back.
Sims played 18 minutes the last 2 games.
He looked pretty
Combined
decent.
total 0 points. So he's definitely following in Mitch's footsteps.
I don't know. I've watched Sims out there, and again, like unless guys are setting them up for lobs, they're not gonna score. And fine, he's limited. I don't think Sims is your starting point guard, but you signed Noel. How much money are you gonna put away in the center position? You're already paying one guy $10 million a year. Now you're gonna pay another guy $10 million a year, and spend the next 4 years $20 million a year on 2 centers who can't stay healthy and can't play offense.
I mean, I would still take Mitch at 10. If it's going to be something like 20, I don't.
So when I said to someone, I'm like, we already have Noel, and they're like, well, we could trade Noel. No, we can't. We did the trade deadline. We can't trade these contracts. No one wants them.
Yeah, I mean, contracts do get easier to move the less years that are on them.
I guess, but who's going to be like, oh man, Noel was really good when he was out the entire season. Let me trade for him.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, Noel was injured 3/4 of the season, and now he's benched.
A fully healthy Noel is better than a fully healthy Mitchell Robinson, and you could say Mitchell Robinson has more potential, but I think he's also a guy that's going to have potential for years. Like, everyone's going to be talking about his potential. It's year 4. I don't know. What are you seeing? A lot of putbacks.
Yeah, I mean,
some good rebounds. He's not an amazing defender.
He's fouling out less than he used to, but that's about the only improvement I've seen.
Like, his defense isn't that amazing. It's it's okay. And he also, anytime he goes against like a big center, like someone who's good, they eat him alive.
Yeah, he's had 16 fouls in the last 3 games.
I just on a side note, can the referees stop throwing games for Philly? I mean, not like helping Philly win games. Like, it is absurd what Philly does. Like, right now they have James Harden and Embiid, who both the referees just go crazy calling fouls for these guys.
I thought they did this whole thing where they're cracking down on it. It looks like the rip through is now back, and the phantom fouls are back. So the refs basically like did whatever they were going to do for 2 months, and then completely went back to just garbage.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about just Philly, and I'm not talking about just against the Knicks. Like, I watch other games around the NBA, and I see it going on all over the place. It's like league-wide. They just gave up on calling the game the way it should be called.
It ruins the league. Stop calling touch fouls. Stop calling the side-to-side thing is completely absurd. The offensive player initiates this play. There's no contact otherwise. Just because the guy has his hand out there, you could just rip the ball through his hand, and it's like, oh, it's a foul. That's not a goddamn foul.
It also makes it impossible to play defense. Right.
Like, it's like the problem with so NB. I don't think Philly. I'm going to pick against them in the playoffs because their advantage will disappear in the playoffs when the refs stop calling all these fouls. Like, Embiid, I just never seen a player get so many goddamn touch fouls. I mean, Harden gets all these bullshit fouls also, but like there were so many plays. Like, there was a play yesterday where Mitchell Robinson guarded Embiid perfectly. He had the ball. He basically, Embiid was driving in. He had ball, and like Embiid like kind of forced the ball up, but his hand remained on the ball the entire time. It was as perfectly defended as you can get. And they call a foul. They showed the replay. There's no foul whatsoever in the replay. And Doris Burke's like, you can't see that, but like he kind of touched his elbow at some point. You're like, fuck you, Doris Burke. There was no foul. Stop calling this shit stop pretending there are fouls.
I go on Twitter and I see like people saying how great Doris Burke is, and all I see is that she's just like a star call apologist every time she does a game.
Yeah, holy shit. All it was like, oh, they're so good at drawing fouls. This is so great. They can draw fouls. This is the worst the NBA can be. And I get there were plays where clearly the Knicks fouled Embiid, they fouled Harden, clearly. But there were plenty of plays where they did not foul these guys. You call the bullshit fouls. It makes it impossible to defend these guys because they're going to call the bullshit fouls. And then RJ drives into traffic, gets hit, and they're like, great defensive play. I'm like, but you're not calling the fouls for us.
My favorite comment is when somebody gets called for a bullshit foul and they're like, he shouldn't have put himself in a position to get that foul. And it's like, what, like stand in front of the player?
Exactly. There was Harden. Harden, like at one point, just like he pushes himself into the guy. The guy's just standing there, and they're like, You're like, well, bad play being there. It's just, you know what? There was another play also in the game, early in the game, where it was like a fast break. I forget. It might have been RJ actually on playing defense. Whatever it was, Harden just runs into him, basically throws him off the court, and the guy trailing him like dunks the ball. And they're like, great play. I'm like, how is that not a foul? Harden just threw the guy out of the way. They didn't call crap.
They would even call that in street ball.
Like, it was absurd. I was like, this. It's not like the refs couldn't see this. The entire play is just him throwing him and then the guy dunking. Like, you can't miss that. And they showed the replay, and Doris Burke's just like, great play. I'm like, I hate you. I hate you so much. But it's just play after play of like, it's horrible basketball.
Yeah.
Anyway, I yeah. But
let's go to some emails.
Oh, actually, I wanted to read you one thing real quick.
Okay.
From Stan Van Gundy. Before we go to the break, go to the emails. So Stan Van Gundy was on the Dan Le Batard show. And he's talking about Zion Williamson. We didn't talk about all these rumors. I want to go over the rumors with you real quick. The two big rumors lately are Zion Williamson to the Knicks and Donovan Mitchell. What do you think?
None of those excite me.
But Donovan Mitchell wouldn't be exciting on the Knicks?
He would, but I don't believe it at all.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Van Gundy is quoted as saying, "It's possible, but listen, the Knicks have this thing, and it's amazing. No matter how many times people have proven they don't want to play for the Knicks have this idea that everybody in the league wants to play for the Knicks. Now, what is the last time it actually happened that like someone came and tried to get their way to New York? Like never in the last 20 years. Actually, Melo did, but and he goes, but still, the Knicks and Knicks fans think everybody is trying to get to the Knicks. I'm not saying Zion won't end up there. There's all kinds of ways people can end up somewhere, but this idea that everybody wants to be a Knick. I mean, if that were the case, then they wouldn't be as bad as they've been for the last 20 years.
Truth bombs.
Yeah, I thought Stan Van Gundy ain't a good coach, but he pretty much nails this. Yeah. He goes, the Knicks' arrogance as an organization has astounded me the entire time I've been in the league. You would think this is a perennial champion, this great organization that everybody wants to play for. Please, come on, can we stop it? Just because the Knicks fans want a player doesn't mean everyone is trying to get there.
Well, he put it very well. I mean, I can't argue with anything he said there.
Do you think so? Do you believe Donovan Mitchell is trying to come here?
No.
You know, William Wesley, Worldwide Wes,
yeah.
Apparently has a plan to get him here.
What's the plan? Like offer him money?
I think you've thought about more about this than Wes. I know they just say he apparently has some kind of plan. He's been selling this plan to everyone. That he's going to get him here. There's no real explanation of how he's going to get here. And then there's a quote from Donovan Mitchell, who's been asked about all these things, and he's basically just said, like, "Yeah, I don't care what people say. I'm committed to staying in Utah. I like being on."
He says it like once a week. Like he cannot make it any clearer.
Yeah, he keeps saying. He said, like, "I don't care what they say. It's fine. They can talk about whatever, but like, I'm happy right now." And the team is pretty good. Like, why is he looking to leave?
That's the thing. Why would he go to this garbage team when he's? I mean, every once in a while there's a rumor that he doesn't get along with Gobert, but like,
I mean, also for so long people were saying how the Knicks like, well, we can't tank, like it's not, no one's going to come here when we're bad, so we got good for a year, and we had all this cap money, and no one came anyway.
Right. Yeah, and it didn't even sound like it was close to anybody coming.
No, the guy. You know who we got to come here? Alec Burks, who was already here. Right. We didn't get anyone. We got Evan Fournier, who we tried to trade who we were contemplating trading at the trade deadline, and Kemba Walker, who we asked not to play anymore.
And and all these guys we just tried to swap like 6 months after they came.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, so I feel the show's been too positive. Go with your emails, Jay.
NYKnicksPodcast@gmail.com. Jorge writes, did we get bamboozled with Noel and Burks with them playing in empty courts last year?
I think we got bamboozled with at least with Noel being healthy. He's not been healthy most of his career, and he's going back to not being
Yeah,
healthy.
I think that's more it. And like we said before, I think Burks is fine when he's playing his position, which he hasn't been pretty much all season.
Yeah.
Phil writes, try singing the New York Knicks podcast intro song and see how far you can get. Really great work, by the way. Thank you, Phil. Do you want to sing first?
No, I'm going to let you sing, Jay.
My girlfriend has banned me from singing in the apartment. I have a very bad voice.
Just sing very low. It's fine.
Jorge writes, what do you guys think about the Zion situation?
So Zion. So I'm not going to believe Donovan Mitchell was going to force his way here. Do you believe? Forget the health. Whether the Knicks should trade for him. Do you believe there's a chance Zion might want to actually come here?
Yeah.
So no one's ever turned down the max extension as a rookie.
Never.
So he'd be the first guy to ever turn it down, right?
Well,
but
contracts don't matter in today's NBA. He can just take it and then say he wants a trade. Didn't Davis do that immediately?
Yeah. So guys, Davis was there for 7 years, wasn't he, or 6? Or
yeah,
actually,
but didn't he just sign a new contract and then say he wanted to get traded 2 minutes later?
Yeah, a lot of guys do that. And they get traded right away. Ben Simmons had 4 years left on his deal and was like, I can't play for you anymore. So.
Yeah, contracts just don't matter anymore.
Yeah, so you're right about that. So yeah, he's in not a great situation. The Pelicans. And his two former teammates are here, so there's a chance he'd want to play in New York. What would it cost to get him? And we're going to assume he's not going to play again this season. What was the asking price?
I still think it's going to be really high, even though he has not shown that he's capable of being healthy at all. I mean,
right.
You have to give away
3 firsts.
I would think at least 2 firsts and a young piece.
Well, the Knicks don't have anything to give away, really. What do you give him? Obi, IQ. They're like, oh wow, we got IQ. We got a guy can't play point guard. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to trade RJ. I mean, maybe Randall.
Yeah, they already had Randall.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think the Knicks, the best value they can give is the draft picks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They can give other pieces, maybe Obi and IQ or something like that, plus 3 first round picks, which sounds like a lot. I mean, the first round picks is what I really care about. And I mean, if you tell me Zion's going to come back and be healthy and play 60 games a year, let's just say that's the case, Zach. Jay, if you were guaranteed to play 60 games a year, be healthy for the playoffs, would you give up 3 firsts and IQ and Obi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do too. Yeah, no question. The guy, he looks like, if healthy, he's an all-star.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
He looks like he could be absolutely ridiculous if he's healthy. I'm not sure that'll ever happen.
I have very little faith in him being healthy. And I know Embiid started off his career also not healthy and it's been pretty healthy going forward. But he also wasn't the heaviest guy in the NBA.
I also feel like foot problems are different.
Did he have a foot problem also, though? I thought he did. And Durant had a foot problem also.
Embiid to his knees, right?
Was Embiid was his knees?
Yeah.
I don't remember what the injury.
Yeah.
You might be right.
Yeah, because foot problems is something you don't want to mess with.
Yeah. Are you sure it wasn't
You can look it up. Jorge writes, hey guys, do you think we're doing better in developing young players? I know Deuce hasn't played NBA minutes.
Wait. Sorry. It was a foot problem. He had a broken bone in his foot.
Oh, okay. All right.
I thought I remembered that correctly. Okay, read it again. I just interrupted you for no good reason. Thank you.
Do you think we're doing better in developing young players? I know Deuce hasn't played NBA minutes, but at least he's playing in the G League. Things we hoped Franks and Knox did.
So, in fairness, he's only played 6 games in the G League, maybe 7. There's been plenty of games where the Knicks just don't play McBride and they don't play him in the G League. I'd feel better if he was just playing every G League game then.
I don't think that they've done a completely terrible job. I mean, we say every episode, Grimes, Mitch, IQ, Barrett, they're all young and they all get minutes. Sims is now in the rotation. It seems very weird that McBride isn't playing at least 10
Right.
minutes a game, just considering like that he's literally the only point guard on the team.
Yeah, Cam's getting some minutes now. Like so post All-Star break, Sims is playing now. Clearly they benched Taj in favor of playing Sims. Cam is getting some more minutes. It's really the only gripe is really McBride. And I would agree McBride may not be very good. Who the hell even knows? I just don't see the purpose of not playing it really.
And I guess maybe they're not developing the players well because they're all trying to play without a point guard.
Yes. You know they're not going to draft the point guard again this year.
I know.
The draft looks like it's like 9 of the 10 guys in the top 10 rankings are not point guards. Clearly, the Knicks are going to be like, well, there wasn't a point guard available. And then the second round, their first round, their second round pick, they'll be like, it's just like they'll go through the whole draft without a point guard. Then they'll not sign anyone. It's okay. Who is the most likely point guard for next season? Kemba, Burks, starting point guard for next season. Kemba, Burks, Elfrid Payton, or Westbrook.
I hate this game. Patrick
What's
writes,
What's the starting? Go.
Christian Wood was offered to the Lakers and they rejected it. Is that something the Knicks could have jumped on, or even a possibility going forward, perhaps?
I mean, Wood's pretty good, and we could use a center to play offense. What was he?
I mean, if you could do like Wood for sign and trade with Mitch, do it.
Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just wondering what the price would be for Wood because Wood's pretty solid on offense. It would be a cool mix to have like a Noel and a Christian Wood, and with a Sims also there, where like you have some guys who can actually play defense. And I don't know how good. I don't think Wood is the best defender, but like have some guy also can play offense at the center position.
Yeah,
have that nice mix. Why wouldn't the Lakers have done that?
they probably figured that Wood makes a lot of money and Dwight's like doing all right.
The Lakers are terrible. You'd think you'd want to get younger and better.
And they could move Davis to the 5. They just waived DeAndre Jordan to get DJ Augustine.
Okay.
Jay
sent me this pass where DeAndre Jordan made a pass across court that ended up in the stands because it was like 10 feet over the guy's head.
And they cut him like the very next day. They're like, yeah, it's enough. Yeah,
you think LeBron was just like, you have to cut him. I saw that pass. You have to cut him. And they're like, okay, LeBron, whatever. And under their breath, they're like, way to sign Westbrook, asshole.
We are also NY Knicks Podcast on Patreon. And thank you, Andrew, our newest Patreon.
On Twitter, Barrett King 89 writes, isn't it the most Knicks thing ever that we passed on guys like SGA and Halliburton only to literally be forced to take a point guard in this year's first round, what happens to be the worst point guard class since the NBA draft started? Ty would probably have been mocked at 20 to 30 at most years prior.
Well, like Mark said, they might not even draft a point guard. Their plan might be, we're just going to offer Brunson $20 million, and then Brunson will be like, no, I'm just going to stay with Dallas. And then the Knicks have no point guard again.
By the way, you know what's crazy also? If I told you the Knicks are, for 2 of 3 years, one of the years the Knicks are going to be good, and 2 of the years the Knicks are going to be trash. Also, during that same time span, 2 of those drafts are going to be trash, and 1 of them is going to be good. You know the years the Knicks are going to pick the only year the draft is good to be good. Also,
yep.
This past year's draft was so loaded. The 2 around it are just terrible.
Awesome.
So, what do you want to see going forward, Jay?
At this point, I don't even want to see wins because now we're going for draft position.
Okay, screw the Knicks. Actually, I have a fun topic for you.
Okay.
Before the show ends, so the All-Star game. Did you watch the All-Star game?
No, I watched the Saturday stuff, the 3-point contest and the dunk contest, and
okay,
that apparently I missed like a historic performance by Curry.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a pretty cool performance. I didn't watch it very much either, but so they have a rule in the All-Star game. It's not, the game doesn't go till, it's not like a who wins at the in the 4 quarters. It's you have to go to a certain point total.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know the rule? Like you had to get to 160. It was the first to 163 points.
Yeah, they did that with the Rising Star game, and I thought actually they did tournament style, but the way the tournament went, it was like race to 50, and then the finals was race to 25. So I kind of like that.
So do you think the NBA, would it be better if they switched to that system for the regular season? So like, and here's a way you can do it. I forget, someone else was someone famous, I forget who it was, but who's advocating for this. But at the end of the third quarter, you see what the score is. Let's say it's 85-80. You take 25 points on top of the high score. So 85 points becomes 110. And so it's 85-80. The first to 110 wins the game.
That's not bad.
That way, there's no so the fourth quarter you just keep playing. There's no end. Like you could end regular, you could end and have like a period, like a second, like a fifth quarter, say to get there. But like you have to get to 110. The game does not end till then. And also that way, the game always ends on a last shot. Like you have to hit a shot to win the game. There's no playing prevent defense kind of offense. We try to run out the clock because you just have to get to a point total.
Mm-hmm.
Less dumb fouling. I don't know. Could that be more exciting?
In certain situations, it could.
The NBA wants more scoring. This would be you could have like a fourth quarter that's 20 to 9, like it was 20 to 14. We're gonna keep playing. You have to get 25. You have to get enough points to actually win this game.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it both ways. You could have a run just stopped because a team that had a good buffer going into the fourth didn't have to score.
Right, but they have to. So it's whatever the score at the end of the third quarter. The team in the lead has to get 25 more points.
Yeah.
So it's not like a small amount of points. You have to and let's just say you went on a run and got 25 points with the first 8 minutes of the quarter. Well, fine, game's over.
It's not bad. I mean, anything that makes games quicker, I think, is good.
Yeah, I can't imagine in some ways. I guess it could be a little longer. I guess if it takes a while to get 25 points. I just feel like that. Someone told me about this idea, and I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, this could be better. I don't know.
With the Knicks fourth quarters, they would have 3 wins this season.
If the Knicks, if they did some kind of mid-season tournament stuff thing, what they've talked about, do it for the tournament, and you don't have to do the third quarter thing. Just do the first to 100 and have that be the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I think my other idea,
if they're going to mess with stuff like that, do it during the play-in tournament. See if it works.
My other idea, no more replay.
How about no more touch fouls?
That too. Or give coaches 2 challenges and no replay. That's it. And if you get your challenge right, you get to keep your challenge. Otherwise, there's no replay whatsoever. Even at the end of it, even the last 2 minutes of game, no replay. Unless the guy coaches a challenge, that's it.
That would be great if you didn't lose the challenge if you were right. One of those refs that keeps calling phantom fouls on Harden, just challenge it every time.
That and just get rid of the. You know what they also do? They call the phantom fouls early in the game because the refs are like, well, there are no fouls called yet, so foul. And then near the end of the game, when shit matters, you can get punched in the face if they don't call a foul because they're like, it's a close game. I can't call a foul now. And you're like, well, you kind of decided the game earlier when you put the guys on our team in foul trouble because of these phantom fouls.
Well, I noticed that during that Heat Celtics series when they had the Heatles, that was like a stealth way of kind of fixing the games because they would call a bunch of fouls on the Celtics early in the first, and then everyone had to play timid the entire rest of the game because they were all in foul trouble. And then most people pay attention to the fourth, and they're like, well, it was called evenly. It's like, yeah, because you screwed the team for the second the game started.
Right. You really yeah, it's absurd. And it's very frustrating. I do think also this is part of the reason why James Harden doesn't win a title. Besides Chris Paul getting injured every year, he doesn't win a title because they don't call the same fouls in the playoffs because they stop calling a lot of this bullshit in the playoffs. But in the regular season, the Knicks would not have lost to Philly, or at least it would have been a more entertaining game if they didn't get all if the Phillies didn't have all these fouls called for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, RJ Barrett's awesome. There's your positive. If the rest of the season RJ Barrett keeps averaging 25 points plays 25 points a game, the rest of the season looks kind of awesome the way he's playing. is that good enough for the make the season success
No.
in some way?
Nope.
And can you get excited next year if RJ looks good the rest of the way
Mhm.
and they draft the point guard in the first round? Will that be enough to get you like back in on the Knicks?
I'll be in for a little bit, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If
where should Tibbs retire to?
I mean, if they go into the season without a point guard again, it's going to be tough, man.
I don't know how we could do the show. I mean, like, it's just so glaringly obvious. And anyone who's going to make an excuse, will like, I mean, Leon just didn't see the move. The move wasn't there. Like, figure it out.
29
Everyone
other
else.
teams have figured out how to have a point guard on the roster.
The Knicks right now start Alex Burks. Is there, of the 29 other teams in the NBA, would any of them make Alec Burks their third point guard off the bench?
I don't think so. Most teams have a third point guard. It's weird. Anyway, we are out of time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. Like and subscribe. If you want to join the live room, you can go to twitch.tv/crumpledbacon. You can also go to youtube.com/TITOWAJ. And we are on Discord. The links are on Facebook and Twitter, and Knicks Podcast on both of those. So thank you again for joining, and we'll, I guess, be back next week.
Yeah, and the Knicks, by the way, if you're listening, Jay can play point guard. He can't play any worse than Alec Burks. Why don't you sign Jay?
There you go. It'll be a lot cheaper. Also, check out our comedy podcast, The Brink of Sanity. We just recorded a new episode of that, and I think it was a pretty good one. All right. See you guys soon.
Bye, bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Everybody.
Luke was 3 points short. God damn it. I'm not good at gambling, Jay. I was thinking that I would do better by taking like low odds, like point totals, like pick one guy, just like win a couple dollars here, which win a couple dollars there. Instead of just losing a couple dollars here, losing a couple dollars there.
Yeah, I've been losing constantly too. I won like my very first bet, got like 10 times my money, and then lost like the next 12.
Yeah, I'm up. I pulled some money out, so I'm like I won like one or two bets, and so I'm up overall. But I left some money in, and now I'm just losing every bet from there. Anyway, how was work today, Jay?
It's fine. It was work, you know. It's all right.
It
was busy.
Cool. Is it like a busy time of year?
Yeah, they're just wrapping up like year end, and they switch systems, so it's like figuring out all the glitches and stuff. So it's a
Are you guys wearing masks anymore in the work, or is everything?
That ended pretty much last week. There's like 2 people who still do, but everyone else is done.
Okay, just curious. They're ending masks in our schools on Wednesday, which see how that goes.
Yeah, it should be interesting. All right, I'm gonna head out. Thanks again for joining, guys, and